Hello everybody, it's Mimberly and welcome back to the channel. Now, this is a video that has been very highly requested for quite a while now. Knowing YouTube, they're going to hide it from most of you. I can't do anything about that. Best thing I can say is to any of you who are seeing this and have friends who also watch YouTube, just make sure they don't have restricted mode on because it is affecting a lot of us. But we're here with Cyberspace Malls again today. This is an older Sylus upload being Consent, Otome, and subverting the soulmate trope. Now, the first thing I see is Sylus from Grassland Romance, so this is already a good start. But let's get straight into it because I know you guys have been waiting for this one for a while.
There's something timeless about the soulmate trope.
Oh.
The idea that two people are destined to find each other across lifetimes, galaxies, or impossible odds is undeniably powerful.
It's one of my favorite tropes, to be honest, as like somebody who used to read a lot.
Deep longing, the comfort of knowing there's someone out there who just gets you, whose soul is already linked to yours. But
that's definitely MC and Sylus, isn't it?
It also opens up questions, especially around choice, agency, and what love really looks like when fate is involved. This is where Sylus comes in for me.
Oh,
in Love and Deepspace,
tell me more.
Sylus is soul-bound to MC. In his myth Beyond Cloudfall, their souls become merged.
No, don't remind me of that trauma. The 2 times I've played it, I've cried both times.
MC curses his soul to never disappear, binding him to her beyond death, beyond time. Now, the events of Beyond Cloudfall take place on a planet called Sylus. Now, whether you want to believe that this is the same Sylus that Xavier comes from, or whether it's an alternative Sylus, the fact remains the same.
Yeah,
what really matters is the bond between Sylus and MC. In the myth, they give each other half of their soul.
They're soul sharing, literally.
In the truest, most literal sense. It's a connection that goes beyond time, space, and even memory. One that ties them together, no matter the world or version of themselves.
I need more of like Sylus in the main story.
Or something else entirely. Their bond is fated. Something that was always going to happen. Their connection is intense, emotional, and stretches beyond memory and time. On paper, he fits the mold of the fated lover. But what sets Sylus apart, what makes his story so emotionally complex, is that he never treats this bond as a guarantee.
And I think that's one of the reasons that Sylus called out to me from minute one. Like, okay, this is my personal thoughts on the entire situation. Sorry, I'm pulling up these because I'm a little bit anxious today, so I tend to do this when I get a little bit anxious. Especially when I'm talking about my own thoughts, because I know that some of you out there are going to probably disagree with me, but I think that's the beauty of it. Sylus has always been top for me, for multiple reasons, but the main reason being he is the consent king. And as somebody who has been in very abusive relationships in the past, there is, in my opinion, like one of the most important things with a relationship is choice. And Sylus has always been full-blown about making sure MC is giving him consent to continue. Now, he wasn't doing that right at the beginning when we first met him in the M109 zone. And I think that's because he was desperately trying to make MC remember him. When he realized that wasn't going to happen, he softened, backed off, and he let her come to him, giving him that consent. And like, you'll think about other cards like Night of Secrecy, where, you know, he goes, "Do you want it, kitten?" That is him getting the reassurance that MC is happy to proceed. He doesn't want to overstep. And this is one of the reasons I think Sylus is such a well-written character. They're all well-written in their own regards, but Sylus in particular, he is the shining star trope, or soulmate trope. And I'm going to be completely upfront. I can't remember what the book is called, but any sort of book that goes into the whole concept of soulmates is really interesting to me because, as Moores just said, the thought of someone being out there who just gets you and you're destined to be with that person. The fact that it's like, well, what if I don't choose to be with that individual? What if I choose someone else? And I think she's going to get into this probably later on because she does tend to be very thorough with these videos, but with Sylus being a huge consent king, he really just calls out to me.
After their first emotionally fraught meeting in the present, which I'll touch on later, he steps back.
Yeah.
He doesn't demand her affection, even when he remembers everything and she remembers nothing.
And that, it breaks his heart.
He offers space. He waits. He asks. And he hopes. But he never takes. In a story shaped by destiny and deep-rooted connections, Sylus's approach is a refreshing reminder that love still needs to be chosen.
And honestly, it's very respectful for him too.
I'm going to explore how Sylus redefines what it means to be bound to someone. Not by rejecting the idea of soulmates entirely, but by reshaping what that bond can look like when consent and autonomy are prioritized.
More consent king.
A more nuanced interpretation of fate-driven romance, one that doesn't strip characters of their agency, but rather allows love to be something that is built, not just inherited. I'll begin by looking at what consent really means in the context of Sylus and MC's relationship, not just in a physical sense, but emotionally and psychologically. Then I'm going to examine the idea of autonomy, drawing from psychological research that shows how crucial agency is in healing self-identity and building healthy relationships. Finally, I'm going to look at the soulmate trope itself, not to critique it, but to explore how Sylus's narrative exists within it, while gently subverting its more rigid or traditional aspects.
Yeah, that's something I want to touch on. So, we all know book talk, right? And I have seen so many people saying that Sylus is basically the book talk of Love and Deepspace. And I think that's accurate to a degree, depending on what type of book talk you mean. If we're talking the dark romance, I think Sylus does not fit that at all. He's got the appearance for it. And if we're kind of going off of how we acted at the beginning when we first met him, maybe you could argue certain elements of dark romance novels were there. But Sylus is a slow burn character. He always has been. So where Maud says he steps back, he gave space, that is a slow burn because their relationship right at the beginning was absolute rubbish. And then it slowly grew and moved more towards MC going to him. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things with Sylus that a lot of people tend to forget. When I see a comment saying, oh, he's such a red flag, it definitely makes me think either A, are they understanding his character correctly, or B, are they even paying attention to the story? Because Sylus only got that way because he wanted MC to remember him. When he realized that that was not going to happen, he took a step back and was letting her come to him. And that is where that was honestly a very big turning point for me, because even though, don't get me wrong, I was giggling, screaming, kicking my feet, I loved the soft side of him more than the kinky, sexy mafia boss side of him. Because Passionate Appraisal, which I've just played, so if you haven't checked it out, make sure your restricted mode is turned off and go on the channel because it is on there. I honestly love how softer Sylus has grown over the last, especially really the last 6 months, I'd say he's really particularly softened up. Though I will admit, if I don't get another spice card like the promise card, shared bliss, I need another 5-star like that, please.
Psychological studies like those rooted in self-determination theory show us that people thrive in relationships where their autonomy is respected. Sylus's actions...
Okay, I'm going to have to quickly double check something really quick because I've just realised I was talking about that and I meant to Google for you guys and myself too, because I don't know the official definition, what autonomy actually is. So according to this, autonomy is the right or condition of self-government, and self-government is apparently a government of a country by its own people, especially after being in a colony, or it's an old-fashioned term for self-control. So Sylus is basically controlling himself around MC.
Mirror this kind of emotional intelligence.
He's a very intelligent man.
He doesn't assume, and even when he's hurting, he doesn't use their bond as leverage.
Yeah.
His love may be written in the stars, but he never stops asking MC for what she wants. At its core, Sylus's story isn't about rewriting the soulmate trope. It's about adding layers to it.
Mm.
He reminds us that even when souls are bound, hearts still have to choose.
Yeah. You can't force somebody to love you.
That choice carries more meaning than fate ever could. When we talk about consent, it's easy to focus only on physical intimacy. But in reality, and especially in stories like Love and Deepspace, consent goes far beyond that.
Yeah.
It's emotional. It's psychological.
Definitely. Because
and it's about allowing someone the space to feel what they feel without pressure, expectations, or conditions.
Okay, another point I want to make here. So, again, this is not me trying to milk my relationship, so please do not take it this way. But Cade and I are prime examples of consent, not necessarily regarding intimacy. So Cade and I, we are very reliable and like independent individuals. By that, I mean, we don't need each other 24/7 to function, but we enhance and improve each other's lives by being there. Now, with Cade working in the industry that he does, he works shifts. So every week his schedule is different, at least at the time of recording this, which means that there are some days that he'll be home by the time I get home from work. Other days he might be home just after I get home. Or there's some days that, like as the Council of Idiots and the Discord server would vouch for, sometimes Cade doesn't come home until gone 11:30 at night. And at first I really struggled with it, because when you're in a long distance relationship and then you get reunited and you're living together, it's very easy to become over clingy because you feel like you have to make up for lost time. But especially since me and Kate have been married, we have learned to respect each other's space. Like, if I say to Kate, hey, I want to go record a video, he will go let me record a video. In fact, if anything, he actually encourages me to record the videos. He was actually the one who asked me to make this for you guys today. So, W for Kate in the chat or in the comments. But one of the things that I think Sylus is very, very good at is understanding MC. You'll look at a lot of his Kindles and you'll look at the way he's looking at MC. He's checking if she's happy. If she seems any sort of uncomfortable, he will back off. And that is one thing I think Sylus does probably better than the other love interests, at least from what I've seen. Granted, I've not played all of the cards, so I am not going to be the best person to say this. But from my personal, experience, I do think he has actually done an amazing job of, doing what he's doing with MC, and he's letting her come to him. And my headset has just decided to rest in peace, I think. So let me just make sure she ain't... Yeah, she immediately turned off. Right, I'm going to quickly go charge my headset. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, on further note, my headset has now officially charged. Let's get back into this.
And that's something Sylus, despite all of his intensity and longing, seems to understand deeply.
A man of longing, a man after my heart.
Take us back to Sylus's myth beyond Cloudfall.
Why would you do this?
In this life, Sylus is a dragon, a creature of immense power, feared and hunted, capable of consuming human souls. But there's a catch. He can only feed on a soul if it is offered willingly. The soul must choose to surrender. Sylus, even in his most primal, magical form, is bound by the principle of consent. No matter how powerful he is, no matter how deep the bond, no matter how hungry the longing, he cannot take what isn't freely given. MC holds that choice entirely in her hands.
This myth always hits me close.
It isn't actually framed as a weakness. It's framed as a rule of his existence. Consent, even at the mythological level, is non-negotiable. That choice, the willingness of the soul, is what gives the bond between them so much meaning. It's a powerful metaphor for the central emotional dynamic of the present-day narrative. Love, trust, and connection cannot be demanded, even when a bond feels written in fate. Whether
very
it's
important for any
bond,
relationship,
or even a cosmic tie spanning lifetimes, the underlying truth remains the same. Nothing real can be taken, it must be offered. In this way, Sylus is not just a subversion of the possessive lover or dominant soulmate archetype. He becomes a symbol of what power looks like when shaped by restraint. The dragon, which
man,
is
that
often a
is.
symbol of untamable force, becomes a creature bound by ethics, by consent, by the will of another. And rather than rejecting that limitation, Sylus accepts it.
I didn't realise that the
builds his
soul has
identity
to be
around
offered
it.
willingly. I thought he could just
waits,
steal it when he
Not
wants.
because he is weak, but because he understands that love without choice isn't love at all. From the
Aww.
moment he and MC are reunited, Sylus is placed in a complicated
Yes, my love.
Making a tea, do you want one?
Oh, yes, please. Is it nice? Hey, baby, come here.
Make tea.
Come here,
What?
please. The people want to see you and the little one.
How we doing?
I'm not live, by the way. This is just recording, but
Love you.
love you too. You making me a cup of tea?
Yes. Yeah.
Let me buy.
This one.
Thank you. What's life you doing?
Yeah, whiskey.
Yes, Sylus, our consent king.
position. He remembers everything. She remembers nothing.
Such a
He
handsome
sold
son
out
of
to
a
her, a connection
son of a
forged in a
biscuit.
past life, one that shaped who he is. She, meanwhile, doesn't even know who he is, let alone what they meant to each other.
Yeah, and that's really upsetting,
This drives
actually.
Sylus to desperation. He
Mm-hmm.
orchestrates events to make her remember. He forces her to resonate with him, even has her shoot him through the heart. Each act is like this plea for recognition, a cry to awaken something lost.
This is the red flag part
This
I was
isn't the
mentioning
same
earlier.
MC he once knew. This version of her has been fractured by trauma, and to her, Sylus is a stranger with terrifying intensity. Eventually, Sylus comes to learn the painful truth. The reason she cannot resonate with him is rooted in that trauma.
Yeah,
You see, her evol is special.
I remember
it
this
utilizes
bit.
the waves generated by the human brain's magnetic field. Maybe her brain's magnetic field produces repulsive waves against you. That's why she can't resonate with you.
Get to the point.
To make a long story short, on a subconscious level, she's either rejecting you, scared of you, or, disgusted by you.
This is what prompts Sylus to begin taking huge steps back.
Yeah.
Her love must be willingly given to him, regardless of their soul connection. As their relationship slowly begins to heal and evolve, one moment that beautifully captures Sylus's understanding of consent happens in Night of Secrecy. By
We're going back to Light of Secrecy. Oh, sign me
this
up.
point, there's been a shift.
Yes.
MC has started to lower her guard, and Sylus too has softened, no longer
He's
led
just
by
a
past
soft
assumptions,
puppy.
but by the present connection they share. In this scene, he leans in and he asks her,
Do you want it, kitten?
Yes.
Now, on the surface, it's a flirtatious line, teasing, intimate, charged with tension. But underneath the playful tone is something quieter, more vulnerable. He's
Checking
not
for
just asking for consent in that moment. He's asking for something deeper. Do you want this? Do you want...
Here, look.
You came in at a bad time. What?
Yeah, how's that?
Has what? Oh! Made me drop my mascara.
Like everything else drops.
That's not the only thing that drops. You just poke me. Later. Reps, go back a little bit.
in that moment? He's asking for something deeper. Do you want this? Do you want me? Not because of their shared past, not because of some ancient bond, but because she wants it, because it's her choice. And that distinction is everything. Consent, especially in a relationship with this much history and emotional imbalance, isn't just about hearing a yes. It's about knowing that that yes is freely given, not shaped by guilt, pressure, or a sense of obligation. As the American Psychological
consent
Association
king.
puts it, true consent is voluntary, informed, and given by someone with the capacity to decide freely.
Yeah.
Now, there's a beautiful moment in Magnum Opus while MC
Oh.
and Sylus are out on a date.
Another
and
one
it
of my
illustrates
favorite
the point
cards.
That Sylus is not assuming MC's given consent, despite the fact that at this point they've already slept together. Take a look at this interaction.
If you feel that guilty, then let me rest at your place later.
Really? Sure, that works. You overstayed your welcome after the sun last time.
Ah, yes. Your sofa and hard floor are incredibly comfortable to sleep on. I'd definitely give up my custom-made luxury mattress for them.
Reminding us he's filthy rich. Are you coming over or not?
Of course I am.
Now, on the surface, it comes across as quite playful, but it actually reveals something much deeper. He's making space for her autonomy and her consent. Sylus doesn't assume he's entitled to her bed just because they previously slept together. Of course, he doesn't get everything right from the start. Sylus
No
does
one
make
does.
mistakes. He assumes familiarity too quickly and tries to recreate moments from their past in the hopes that it will spark recognition, and doesn't always
the spoon
realise
is
how
hot.
different this version of MC is from the one he remembers. But when
Yeah,
he
the
sees that his
sorceress.
presence overwhelms her, he steps back. That kind of self-awareness, especially in a character framed as intense and morally grey, is rare and important. It tells us that Sylus isn't driven by what he wants, he's guided by what she needs.
Consent
Ultimately,
king.
Sylus' approach to consent isn't just about being respectful. It's about restoring balance in a relationship where the scales are tilted from the start. By choosing not to push, not to demand, and not to assume, he makes room for something much more meaningful: trust. And in a story where so much is built on memory, fate, and power, that trust becomes the real foundation for whatever comes next.
That's one thing I want to talk about as well. Like, honestly, I think this is one of the reasons why Sylus just stood out so much to me as a character. Obviously, not because he is, like, godlike attractive, but also the fact that as time has progressed, Sylus has softened a lot, which I've already kind of discussed my thoughts on. But that's the thing. The relationship is growing so much more. Like, for example, if we take Zayn, for instance, when we first meet Zayn, he's very kind of cold, very closed off, doesn't show his emotions, but he has his own way. He kind of shows his emotions more through his actions and his words, hence his intimacy. Meanwhile, Sylus, he realized he was making a massive mistake. He backed away. And he's kind of taking off of MC. He's watching how she interacts with not just him, but other people. And he's trying to replicate that softness because that's not something that he is good at doing. Not just because obviously he's a leader of the M109 zone, but also the fact that he didn't have any real positive interactions with humans even back in his dragon myth because, you know, he was literally stabbed in the chest and then cast into the abyss. So he's not got much human interaction, so he doesn't really know how to act normal, and he uses MC as a guideline, and you can see this in multiple cards, but in particular I want to bring up the flower card because he was talking to the child. And even though the child still, like, cried and ran away with, like, you know, dropped her balloon, Sylus tried giving it back to her, and she still cried and ran away, he wasn't upset. He was just like, you told me to do this. Which means that he is learning off of MC, which is such a beautiful thing, because he's learning off of her, she's learning from him, and they're kind of using that with each other, so they're growing together, and that's where this trust is beginning to formulate.
Autonomy is at the heart of every meaningful relationship.
Sticking
Not
to my
just the freedom
chair.
to act, but the freedom to feel, to change, to decide who we are and who we let in. Psychological research
I'm
tells
very
us
careful
that
with who I
autonomy
let in
isn't just about
nowadays. I
independence.
didn't used to be as friendly as I am
It's
today.
essential to mental and emotional well-being. Now, according to self-determination theory, autonomy is one of 3 core human needs, along with competence and relatedness. When autonomy is undermined through manipulation, pressure, or loss of agency, it leads to distress, disconnection, and a weakened sense of self.
Yeah.
In contrast, when our autonomy is respected, we're more likely to feel secure, motivated, and open to intimacy. Sylus's behavior mirrors this principle almost perfectly. He doesn't try to force a relationship. He doesn't position it himself as her answer or her fate. Instead, he gives MC space to rediscover herself. He lets her ask questions, make mistakes, and even push him away. He knows what it's like to have his autonomy stripped away, both as a dragon hunted for what he is, and as a man branded a villain for surviving.
Yeah.
When it comes to MC, he
Definitely.
refuses to be another person who tries to shape her into what he needs.
And he loves her
This
for
approach
her.
is especially significant when we view it through the lens of trauma. In trauma-informed psychological care, one of the core components of healing is the restoration of agency. As outlined by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, survivors of trauma need environments where they are allowed to make choices, because trauma often comes from having choice taken away.
That sentence, it's hard. Like, again, I'm going to kind of talk about this gently, because again, this is not a pleasant topic. So this is going to be a trigger warning in advance for depression, anxiety, and abusive relationships. But when it comes to me, at least as a content creator, I very commonly get anxious uploading videos, because sometimes I will... one of my biggest problems as a content creator is just something called time. I work a full-time job to keep the roof over our heads, and a lot of the free time that I have does go to YouTube. Now, I have gotten much better, especially this year, over balancing doing recording and YouTube videos and also taking care of myself, but I'm not there yet. That's me putting my hands up here. Like, I am very, very open about my mental health with you guys, because if I feel like my videos are going to suffer because of my mental health, then obviously I will tell you that. But there are little things that I do in videos that you guys might not even notice that help me cope with that anxiety while I'm recording. For example, we've started playing Honkai Star Rail live on Twitch, and I find that a little bit easier because I know someone is watching with me, and I don't want to let that one person down, at least. When you're recording, it is so easy to just go, oh, you know what, I'm just not going to upload that video. I've done it on multiple occasions where I've recorded a video, gone to upload it, hesitated, and then just stopped. And that's one of the reasons certain series have taken as long as they have, is just because simply I just don't feel confident in what I'm recording. And I think that's because there's an expectations with content creators. Like, I can say this as somebody who used to do reactions full time. It's very difficult to maintain genuinity. And let me explain that. So the reason that's the case is because if I've always said you can tell when someone is over exaggerating a reaction and when somebody is not interested in what they're watching. There's a fine balance. And I was one of those people that if I didn't enjoy something, I would be honest about it. And I'm going to be honest, it did get me a lot of hate, because people are entitled to like what they like and they don't like. But when in particular, I was a Undertale content creator, like as in I used to watch a lot of Undertale stuff, I really struggled because I got very clingy to that niche because it was the only videos that were performing. When that ended up being the case, I started trying to upload other content because I just truthfully was not enjoying Undertale content anymore, because I was so burnt out, because there's only so many AU versions of Sans that I can watch before they all kind of had similarities to each other. So I tried uploading other content, and every video I'd have comments going, oh, where's this, where's this, where's that? And it was always Undertale. So I made a post and a video saying that I was going to be taking a break from Undertale content because I was just very burnt out on, the game in general, and I didn't want to get it to the point where I just didn't enjoy it in total. Unfortunately, my community at the time did not understand that. They kept demanding it to the point where I actually went offline social media for a couple of weeks just to get a break from it all, and I ended up dreading coming back. And that's how I knew something was going wrong. Now, time skip to today where I play Love and Deepspace. I have not felt that burnout with lads at all, especially because I've had so much back content to catch up on. I've really fallen in love with HSR again. I want to pick up Honkai Impact 3rd again. I want to continue playing that. I want to catch up on Genshin. I'm in a much better mental position now. But by being interested in all these games, my workload has gone from like here all the way up to here. And that's one of the reasons why when you guys are saying, oh, where is the Cyberspace Mall Sylus video? Truth be told, I want to make sure I'm in the right state of mind to record them. Because these videos I know will always get me talking, and it kind of sometimes it digs up memories that I'm not particularly the most fond of. Again, this is not me having a go at Cyberspace Malls or anything, because I find her videos absolutely fascinating. But when I record, especially these sort of videos, I want to make sure I'm in best condition to talk potentially about some of the things I've gone through, to really emphasize that I do understand where we're coming from. And I have attempted going to therapy on multiple occasions. I've tried going to cognitive behavioral therapy, and it didn't work for me. And in the UK, unless you pay a lot of money to get a private therapist, because getting one on the NHS is going to take you a couple of years, it didn't work for me. And you know what? I think some of the trauma that I've gone through has shaped me into the person I am today. So I'm not upset that I experienced it. I hate that I did experience it, but at the same time, I think I grew from it. And that's one of the ways I try to look at the silver lining of the situations. And, you know, I have people messaging me sometimes about some of the things they're going through. And I'm not always the best at giving advice, because I'm one of those people where I'm like, well, if I've never gone through that situation myself, I don't want to give you advice, because who am I to give advice on it? Because I don't understand how you're feeling. I don't understand how that feels. You know, that sort of thing. And that's one of the reasons, again, that Sylus is just such the perfect character for me, because he ticks all the boxes, being he's tall, you know, dark romance vibes, but also a massive softie. Obviously he rides bikes. I do like it. I do like me a good biker boy, but more so his personality. He's playful, but as Cyberspace Malls is saying, he is constantly asking for consent. He doesn't assume he has it. And that is such a well-written thing, in my opinion, that I just genuinely think that Infold need a little clap for how they've written these characters.
Sylus perhaps instinctively creates that environment. Not perfectly. He stumbles, especially early on. But once he recognizes
I've had to cut off a lot of friends
emotional
to get my
state,
free choice
he steps
back.
He lets her walk out. He doesn't try to win her over through guilt or pressure. Instead, he waits quietly,
and it worked for
building
him.
Trust,
It did.
Not through promises, but through presence. And over time, that makes all the difference. One of the most poignant moments of Sylus honouring MC's autonomy comes from the phone call As You Wish.
Oh, I need to listen to these.
MC confides in him, voicing that she's overwhelmed and that life has become too much to bear. Sylus doesn't push. He doesn't demand explanations or even try to fix her. Instead, he offers a quiet, unwavering presence. Whatever she needs to heal, he will give her. Listen to this exchange.
Rest if you're tired, cry if you're sad. Don't do it if you don't want to. I'll be there every step of the way.
What if I feel like the pebbles on the roads are
I'll
annoying?
kick them away.
And what if I want to destroy the world?
Don't you have the password to the armory and complete control over Unakainis? We can help you conquer Earth and outer space, whichever you prefer.
Then I'll be one of the universe's most wanted
And
criminals.
as your accomplice, I'll run away with you.
Are you sure you want to stick with me? It'll be dangerous.
I'm a dangerous person, yet you still hold my hand, kitten.
How come you didn't explicitly ask me why I was sad, Sylus?
Of course I am.
Aren't you curious?
But between you opening up and me prying, I prefer the former.
Sylus responds without any hesitation.
Aww.
In this phone call, Sylus really does honour her trauma and her pain. This is Sylus saying, I love you without question, without fear. Wherever your pain takes you, I'll go.
Aww.
Even if it's to the darkest depths of your soul.
It's such a beautiful call.
The soulmate trope is one of the most enduring in romance. It speaks to a universal longing that somewhere out there is someone who's made for us, a person whose presence feels like coming home. Now, that idea is often literalized. Two souls tied across lifetimes, pulled together by fate, magic, or cosmic design. It really is a beautiful concept, and when it's done well, it can lead to some of the most emotionally powerful moments in storytelling.
If it's done
just
well.
Like any other trope, it does come with potential complications, especially when the idea of destiny starts to blur the line between love and obligation. What makes Sylus so compelling to me is that he exists within the soulmate framework, but he doesn't behave the way these kinds of characters usually do. He's not trying to claim MC because of their past. He doesn't act like her soul bond to him entitles him to her present.
Like, he's aware of it, but he almost pretends it's not there.
It's worth briefly looking at the traditional shape of the soulmate trope. In its most common form, especially in genre fiction, soulmates are presented as fated or meant to be. Often that means love is fast-tracked. Characters fall hard and fast, with destiny serving as an emotional shorthand. The tension comes from external forces trying to keep them apart, not from the characters themselves needing time or space.
I mean that's I think that's the other one of the reasons as well why, even though I do like the soulmate trope, it's not my favorite, because as much as I want to believe that everyone has someone out there just for them and they're destined to be together, do I believe that Kate is my soulmate? No. And the reason I say that is because even, we were born in two different countries on the other halves of the world, and we found each other through a mutual friend online. And love found a way with me and him. And that's definitely the case, because otherwise the geezer wouldn't have made me a cup of tea and then given me head pets just now. But as much as I want to believe the whole soulmate thing exists, I honestly do think it's down to who we choose. We may not necessarily choose to feel emotions for somebody, but we can choose whether we want to pursue those emotions and potentially those relationships. So, that's free will, that we have that choice. So, I don't know. It's such a grey area. I might potentially watch a video more of the soulmate trope at a later date, but let's see what Morse has got to say about it.
Inherently bad. A lot of people love this dynamic, and rightfully so. It doesn't leave much room for characters to choose each other freely. Especially if one has more information or memory than the other.
I think that's why I get a little bit funny about it.
On its head. He remembers everything. MC remembers nothing. He has every narrative excuse to push the bond, to use their shared history as justification for their closeness.
But he doesn't.
He doesn't ask her to remember their past. He doesn't expect her to feel what he feels. And even when he desperately wants to bridge the gap between them, he doesn't try to fill that distance with pressure or manipulation.
He wants her to come to him.
He allows her the space to feel confused, to feel conflicted, to feel nothing at all if that's where she's at. In doing so, Sylus gently subverts the core idea that soulmates must always come together. For him, love isn't about inevitability. It's about reciprocity. The bond they
have to
share
reciprocate
isn't a chain,
feelings.
It's a thread. And he holds it loosely, hoping she'll choose to pick it up. This shift is important because it reframes the soulmate connection not as an emotional shortcut, but as a starting point. A history that adds depth, but not one that replaces the need to build something real in the present. And for Sylus, for all his longing and loneliness, never stops honouring that process. He doesn't rewrite the soulmate trope entirely. Instead, he expands on it. He shows us that
I kind of like that. I actually
together,
like the way that Moores is explaining this. It makes sense. Like, he does fit the soulmate trope, but then you're adding layers, like she said.
Anything written in the stars. Sylus isn't just a love interest. He's a narrative shift. In a story built on soul bonds, lost memories, and the weight of fate, he could have easily followed a familiar path. One where destiny justifies dominance, where love is owed rather than chosen. But instead, Sylus does something much rarer and far more meaningful. He waits. He listens. He steps back. And in doing so,
And this
he
is why he
redefines
is
what it means
husband.
to love someone in a world where choice is so often stripped away. His presence in Love and Deepspace gently challenges the traditional soulmate trope, not by rejecting it outright, but by adding nuance and care to how it plays out. The bond between him and MC is still intense, still cosmic, still brimming with history. But Sylus never treats that bond as a claim. He never uses it to bypass consent or override MC's autonomy. Even when she forgets him, even when she fears him, he doesn't try to force her into remembering who they were. Instead, he gives her the space to figure out who she is now.
And now we
whether
obviously
he
know there's a lot
belongs
more
in that
going on
story.
between those two.
That space, that choice, is everything. Psychological research tells us that healthy relationships are built not just on connection, but on respect for individual agency. Autonomy is central to emotional well-being, especially in the aftermath of trauma. And Sylus's behavior, his restraint, his patience, his refusal to manipulate, mirrors what real-world therapists and psychologists define as emotionally secure, respectful love. It's love that empowers, not consume. In a genre full of epic love stories shaped by
It's
destiny,
making me emotional, I'm not
Sylus
gonna
shows us
lie.
a different kind of epic.
Like, she's saying
One
so many
built
good
not on
points that I just don't
inevitability,
know what to say
but on
to
mutual
it.
recognition. One that asks, what if you're meant to be, but only if you both want it? And that question, more than any grand gesture or soul-deep connection, is what makes his story resonate so deeply.
Yeah, they both
Sylus
definitely want
reminds
each
us that
other.
love, even when written in the stars, still needs to be chosen here on Earth. And when that choice is made freely, despite fear, despite history, despite fate, it means more than any prophecy ever could.
Yeah, because then it's truly real. Whew, okay. Right. Let's talk about that a little bit because I don't really know how much more I can grow on that, but I can give it a go. Okay, so I've taken a few minutes to kind of gather my thoughts from that. First off, Cyberspace, if you're watching this, again, amazing video. I know this was one of your earlier releases, but the community really wanted me to react to this one, so that's why I did it. So if you haven't already, go check out Cyberspace Malls. I'll put her link to the channel in the description, as well as the video link, so you guys can watch this yourselves without me potentially talking over dialogue / pausing all the time. But yeah, I think she's hit the nail on the head with a lot of things. Like, Sylus is the king of consent. We've said this multiple times, but he is definitely one of those characters that has built more on that as days have passed. And honestly, I do love Sylus to the ends of the earth for that, because I do feel like we needed a change in the soulmate trope, and I feel like Love and Deepspace is doing a very good job with the way that they write their characters. Not just Sylus, all of them. But Sylus is the one that kind of, again, resonates, no pun intended, the most with me. Let me know what other videos you want me to react to, because I'm going to make a more official video about it when and if I get the approval for it. I'm waiting back from YouTube at the moment. But if everything goes well, anyone who's on the channel membership package, regardless of tier, is going to get a lot more benefits for their money soon, and you guys are going to get a bit more of a choice, hopefully, on the channel going forward. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, if you haven't already, go check out my Patreon, because we're going to start uploading exclusive Patreon series that I will not get away with on YouTube. Plus, I want to start bringing some of you guys over to Patreon. So if you haven't already, go follow that too. You can join it for free as a member. You don't have to charge anything. And anything you pay over there, if you wanted to, say, for example, join on Patreon rather than YouTube, you will unfortunately not be able to get all of the benefits that I'm able to offer on through YouTube. But you will still get put on the outro, which you'll see in a moment, as well as priority on requests, and a few little sneak peeks here and there of some of the projects I'm working on. See you later, guys. Bye.